I want to talk to you today about your future as a white South African in South Africa. In a nutshell, you have no future. Thank you for listening. Seriously though, this is an extremely serious conversation we need to have. I need to stress that this video is not aimed at those of you that do see the light, those of you that do know what I am talking about. I'm in fact speaking to a certain sector of our white minority who have been fortunate enough to have been able to work from home via online methods during this so-called pandemic. You might have been able to do your work and your income has not been affected much, etc. But there is a huge section of our people that have not been that fortunate. There are thousands, in fact hundreds of thousands of people who have lost their jobs, who will still lose their jobs due to this coronavirus lockdown period. You might not be aware of these people because you live in an area or among other people who are in a financial position that offers a buffer, if you will, against this kind of thing. However, there are now people who at one point were also living in a position where they had that same buffer, although a little less than you. Today they find themselves jobless and in poverty. I have a little statistic for you to think about. It is generally accepted that there are roughly 4 million whites in South Africa, roughly. It is now fact that there are at least 1 million white people living in white squatter camps. Many of these people are educated and quite capable of being productive members of the economy and society, but are being prevented from rendering that contribution by a government hell-bent on stifling the life out of the white middle class. Now, one thing you need to realize is that there are many very wealthy white people in South Africa still who do not see themselves and should not be seen by the rest of us to be considered as middle class. These people are not middle class. They are part of the upper social classes in South Africa, be it due to inherited wealth or by pure old-fashioned hard work. The fact is, these individuals are there and live a different reality to those of us lower down on the ladder. There is absolutely nothing wrong with this. It is the product of a capitalist system that rewards people for being extraordinary, who are more ingenuitive and more productive than others. Unfortunately for these classes, as well as the rest of us, it is the aim of the government to pull all the minority groups, the whites particularly, down constantly, and every day there is more and more people who make it down from one level to the level below, and for those on the bottom of the ladder, some fall off the ladder into poverty. There is a tendency among us all that there is nothing that will pull us down from our current standing, and therefore we don't really worry about those who are on a lower rung on the ladder to us. We may have someone in our street who suddenly moves out and the house either stands empty or it becomes occupied by someone else, often these days by a black family. We never really think about where that white family went to. In many cases these days, that family are making a move down the ladder of social standing, and depending on the area you live in, that might mean moving out of formal housing and into informal housing, or as we say it, squatter camps. The truth is that we have almost a third of the entire white population living in squatter camps today. Think about that for a minute. Nearly 1/3 of us live in squatter camps. Yet you can ask almost anyone you know whether they know anyone who lives in a squatter camp, and they won't. These people have just vanished from among us to be forgotten about. If you look at our immediate family, which might amount to maybe 20 people, and simply remove 6 or 7 of them, that is a huge chunk of us to simply become insignificant, don't you think? What is really concerning is the fact that this figure is rising every day. The government has literally spelled it out to us and told us that is exactly their aim. They want every bit of the economy all to themselves, although they are clearly not capable of succeeding at it. It is a case of they would rather all starve together than know that there was a white successful person somewhere or anywhere. We are seeing a sharp rise in the number of court cases where different entities are taking the government to court over a wide variety of things, from the cigarette ban to the validity of the whole lockdown. What we have seen in the last 2 weeks or so with the court findings is that the judiciary is now fast losing their credibility, if not lost it totally. Some of their decisions have so clearly been wrong legally, but also blatantly biased at the same time. If we look at the latest High Court decisions, where relief was sought from the courts to have the NCCC declared unconstitutional, the decision by the High Court was both irrational, and by making that decision, the judge was literally speaking on behalf of the government, which is totally wrong and unlawful. But the ruling stands. We have to abide by these decisions, although it is plainly clear that these decisions are biased and do not conform to the law. The judiciary can no longer be relied on to represent what is right. They cannot be relied on to represent the law, and we certainly can't rely on them to be impartial any longer. Just think about how much money is being spent on these court cases by groups and organizations on trying to get justice served. In my opinion, most of this money and time is wasted on a system that clearly does not represent the law, but rather are arms of the government being used to suck us dry of our money and to drive us down the economic or social ladder I spoke about earlier. The last 2 weeks or so has seen such a steep rise in farm attacks and murders that I have not been able to keep up with the statistics. There was a period where there was statistically more than one farm attack per day by quite a margin. This is clearly an indication of where the situation is heading. We, the white minority, are being targeted at rates that exceed war zone statistics. The levels of pure barbarism implemented by the perpetrators of these attacks also has escalated dramatically. I have videos as well as photos of some of the scenes at a few of these farm attacks, and if I put them up on my channel for you to see, my channel will be banned immediately. The scenes are absolutely horrific and so barbaric that you would find it difficult to believe that anyone could do anything like that, but believe me, it is, and it is happening literally every single day now. You need to make a decision, and you need to make it very quickly. Are you happy to sit on your rung of the ladder, believing that your turn will never come simply because of the position you hold? Trust me, there are plenty white people sitting in the squatter camps right now who just a year ago would have told you that it would never happen to them. Yet, there they sit. I am here to tell you that it is the aim of the government, the aim of the ANC, is to slowly but surely stifle you and your ability to make a living and get you to slowly step down on that ladder, one rung at a time, until one of these days you will have no more rungs below you to step onto, and the only alternative will be to move into the squatter camps. So if you are one of the people who have managed to work from home throughout the lockdown and not have your income affected, know that you are in the minority and that there are far more who are sitting right now without a job to go back to when the lockdown ends, if it ever will. There are many more who are still going to lose their jobs before this is all over. How are you going to ensure that you don't end up on the last and lowest rung of the ladder, being pressured from above to take that final step? I know that there are a lot more and bigger forces active behind the scenes, but at the end of the day, we have to face the direct threat in front of us, even if it is only the tools of these forces. Take away the tools and the forces behind them are useless and exposed, I always say. The time has come for you and I to make the decision whether we are going to secure a future for ourselves and our children, or are we going to slowly be forced down that ladder into insignificance. Those of you who have children, you owe it to your children to create a future for them. What kind of parents are we if we are willing to accept our own destruction and slow genocide of our families? Do you realize that what is happening here now is basically exactly what happened in countries like Angola, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and many more African countries? It never ended well in any of these countries for the minorities. Is this what you want for your children? Is this what you want to call your legacy for your grandchildren? In my opinion, what we are doing right now, which is basically nothing, is the most irresponsible, selfish, and dangerous thing we could be doing for our children and our grandchildren. Please remember to like and share this video on as many social platforms as possible. If you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please do so by clicking on the big red subscribe button below and to the right of this video. Next to it, you'll find a bell icon. You can click on that as well, and you will from then on receive notifications every time I upload new content. If you would like to contribute to my channel, I have provided in the description ways in which both local as well as international viewers could make a contribution to my channel. If you'd like to make a crypto contribution, I've also provided a Bitcoin as well as a Litecoin wallet address. If you'd like to contribute any other crypto, simply send me an email to the email address also provided in the description, and I will send you the relevant wallet addresses. To those amazing people who do contribute to my channel, I say a huge thank you. Be safe out there. Until next time.